The first time I saw Evelyn Moore, I did not know I would one day walk into a wedding holding her hand while everyone stared at us. I did not know that one simple question about age would make the whole room go silent and force both of us to decide if we were brave enough to keep standing together. Back then, I was just a tired single dad with a toolbox on my hip, trying to fix a broken laptop and make it to school pickup on time. My name is Daniel Brooks. I do independent IT work around Seattle. I fix computers, rescue lost files, and fight with printers for a living. I am also the dad of a 6-year-old girl named Maya, who thinks she is half paleontologist, half superhero. That morning, I was walking down the bright hallway of Morrison & Associates, a big law firm with glass walls, expensive art, and the heavy smell of coffee and stress. My tool bag hit my leg with each step. The office manager, Susan, rushed ahead of me in high heels. "It's the corner office," she said. Ms. Moore's whole presentation disappeared. "She presents to the board in 40 minutes. Please tell me you can fix it." "I'll do my best," I said. Inside, I was already doing the math. It was 10:47. If I fixed this fast, I could grab a quick lunch, hit one more client, and still reach Maya's school by 3:15. Then we turned the corner, and I saw her. She stood in the doorway of the corner office, phone in hand, facing the windows that looked over Elliott Bay. Tall, straight shoulders, dark hair pulled back with silver strands that caught the light. Her suit was dark and sharp. Her posture said she was used to people listening when she spoke. Her face was not soft and cute. It was strong and smart. Eyes that missed nothing. A mouth that looked like it had said a lot of hard truths in its time. Her eyes lifted and met mine for half a second. Something in my chest shifted, like the ground under me moved just a little. "Yes, I will call you back," she said into the phone, still looking at me. 10 minutes. She hung up, then turned to Susan. "Tell me you found a miracle worker." "This is Daniel Brooks," Susan said. "He's the best tech we use." Quote, Evelyn's eyes came back to mine. Being seen by her felt like standing under a bright light. She took a step forward and held out her hand. "Mr. Brooks," she said. Her voice was low and smooth. "I'm Evelyn Moore. Thank you for coming in so fast. I appreciate it." I took her hand. Warm, firm, professional. My work jacket suddenly felt too worn, my boots too scuffed for this fancy office. "Happy to help," I said. "Show me what happened." She led me into the office. It was big, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the water that people like me only see in hotel lobbies. Files were stacked in neat piles. 3 coffee cups sat on the desk. A framed photo of a golden retriever smiled from the corner. "I worked on the slideshow until late last night," she said, standing beside me as I sat at her desk. "I saved it every 10 minutes, backed it up to the cloud. This morning I opened it, and it was just gone. Error message, nothing there." "Do you mind?" I asked, sliding the laptop toward me. "Please," she said. "Work whatever magic you can. I have 17 board members expecting to see numbers and graphs in." She checked her watch. 38 minutes. I started working. Fingers on keys, recovery tools, hidden folders, cache files. This part of my job is simple. Find what people think is lost. Bring it back. Let them breathe again. Behind me, I heard her heels on the carpet as she paced. No nervous chatter, no hovering. She just let me work. "There it is," I said after a few minutes. "Your cloud backup glitched, but the local file is still here. I can pull it out." I clicked a few more times, and the slideshow appeared. 60+ slides. Charts, numbers, photos, all of it. I felt her move closer. She leaned in to look at the screen, one hand on the back of the chair. I caught a faint, clean scent, like cedar and rain. "You," she said quietly, "are a miracle worker." "Just a guy who knows where files go to hide," I said. "You'll want to save a fresh backup, but you're good to go." She exhaled. The air in the room actually felt lighter. "Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Truly." She looked around at her walls, full of awards and certificates. "You may have just saved my career." "I doubt that," I said, and I smiled before I could stop myself. "Looks like you're doing fine." She laughed. It was softer than I expected. real and warm. She paid my emergency rate without blinking, added a tip that was almost another full hour, and walked me to the door. "Do you have a card?" she asked. "In case we have more emergencies." I handed her my plain white card, just my name, number, and email. No logo, no company name. "Independent?" she asked, reading it. "Yeah, just me. Keeps things flexible. I have a daughter, school pickup and all that." Something changed on her face when I said that. Her sharp look softened. "How old is she?" Evelyn asked. 6, first grade. Wants to be a paleontologist who plays pro soccer." "Ambitious," she said. "Good. The world needs girls like that." "She gets it from her mother," I said without thinking. The familiar sting hit my chest as soon as the words were out. Evelyn saw it. I could tell. Her eyes gentled, but she did not ask questions. "Well," she said, "thank you again, Daniel. She used my first name this time. I hope we meet again under less stressful conditions." "Me too," I said, and I meant it more than I should have. I went back to my day. Another client, school pickup, homework, pasta for dinner, bath time, bedtime stories. It was our usual rhythm. Maya chattered about fossils and spelling tests. I laughed in the right places. But that night, when the apartment was quiet and she was asleep, I lay on my old couch and thought about Evelyn more. Her steady voice, her tired eyes, the way she had smiled like she was not used to being taken lightly. It was stupid. She was older, clearly successful, and lived in a different world than mine. I was a widowed IT guy with a kid and a car that rattled when I turned left. She would forget me by Friday, I told myself. 9 days later, I found out I was wrong. Maya and I were at our usual Saturday spot, a bookstore cafe on Capitol Hill. She bounced in a beanbag in the kids' section, buried in a dinosaur book. I sat at a nearby table with my laptop, pretending to work and stretching a single latte as long as I could. "The new Murakami?" "Yes, I'll take it." "And the latest Harvard Law Review, please." I knew that voice. I looked up. There she was at the counter, in jeans and a soft sweater instead of armor-like suits. Her hair was down, loose waves around her shoulders. She looked different, less perfect, more real. She turned, books in hand, and saw me. "Daniel," she said, surprise flashing across her face. Then something that looked a lot like real happiness. "Hi." "This is a nice surprise." I stood up so fast my chair scraped. "Hey, Evelyn. Yeah, hi." "Smooth, I know." "Am I interrupting?" she asked, nodding toward my laptop. "No, just email." "My daughter is over there." I pointed at Maya, who was now lying on her stomach with a book spread out in front of her. "She takes the reading part very seriously." Evelyn followed my gaze. "That's Maya?" "Yeah, 6. Dinosaur phase." "She's beautiful," Evelyn said quietly. "She has your eyes." The way she said it made my chest tight. "Would you like to sit?" I asked. "If you have time." She hesitated for a breath and smiled. "I'd like that. Let me grab a coffee." 3 minutes later, she sat across from me, wrapping both hands around her cup. "So," she said, "do you always appear right when my life is about to fall apart? Or was that just a one-time thing in the office?" I laughed. "I'm not sure a missing slideshow counts as your life falling apart." "You did not see my inbox that morning," she said. "Trust me, it was close." We talked. About my work. About her job. About how she fought big companies in court and how I fought slow Wi-Fi in people's homes. At some point, she told me she was 47 and divorced. I told her I was 32 and a widower. There was a quiet moment after that. Not heavy, just honest. "Single dad and older lawyer," she said softly. "Not the usual movie pairing." "Yeah," I said. "Good thing this isn't a movie." "Maybe it should be," she said, and she smiled in a way that made something warm uncurl in my chest. Maya came over with 3 books clutched to her chest. "Daddy, can we get these?" she asked, then noticed Evelyn. "Hi, I'm Maya. I'm 6 3/4." Evelyn nodded, like that was very important information. "Hi, Maya. I'm Evelyn. I work with your dad sometimes." "Are you a computer fixer too?" Maya asked. "No," Evelyn said. "I'm a lawyer. I fix problems with words." "That sounds hard," Maya said. "Words are tricky." "You are absolutely right," Evelyn said. Later, when Maya went to pick one more book, Evelyn watched her go. "She's wonderful," she said. "She's my whole world," I replied. For a second, it felt like the air between us changed. Thicker. Full of something unnamed. I did not know then that a few weeks later she would invite me to a wedding. I did not know that my answer would change both our lives. I only knew that when my phone buzzed 3 days after that cafe meeting and her name lit up the screen with a message that said, "I have a situation. Can I call you?" My heart started to race in a way I had not felt in years. I said yes, and that was the first step toward the wedding where her age question stunned everyone. When Evelyn's text came through that afternoon, I was standing in a dentist's office waiting room, holding a dead hard drive and trying not to listen to the drill in the next room. "I have a situation. Can I call you?" My heart did that stupid jump it had started doing whenever her name appeared. I stepped outside into the gray Seattle light and hit call. "Hey," I said, "everything okay?" There was a small pause. I could almost picture her pinching the bridge of her nose like she did when she was thinking. "Nothing is on fire," she said, "but I do have a problem, and I am very bad at this part." "What part?" I asked. "Asking for what I want," she said. "So I'm going to be direct and probably awkward. Is that okay?" I smiled. "Go for it." "One of my colleagues is getting married," she said. "San Juan Islands, nice hotel, all my coworkers, lots of small talk and open bars. It is next month, and I do not want to go alone." Silence. In my chest, something bright flared. "Are you asking me," I said slowly, "to be your date to a wedding?" "Yes," she said. "That is exactly what I am trying and failing to ask like a normal person. Daniel Brooks, will you come to a wedding with me on November 15th and pretend to enjoy yourself while a lot of lawyers get drunk and dance to old songs?" I leaned against the brick wall, rain misting in the air. "I won't have to pretend," I said. "If I'm with you, I'll enjoy it. So yes, I'll go." She was quiet for a second, like she was making sure she heard right. "Really?" she asked. "Really," I said. "I'll find someone to keep Maya overnight. She loves her grandparents. They'll be thrilled." I could hear her exhale through the phone, a long breath like she had been holding it for days. "Okay," she said softly. "Good. That's good." "You sound terrified," I said. "I am," she admitted. "These are my colleagues, Daniel. Partners, old friends, some people who think they know my whole life. There will be questions. About us, about the age gap, about many things." There it was, the word we had danced around, but not really touched. Age. "I know there's a gap," I said. "I just did not think it bothered you this much." "It bothers me for you," she said. "You are 32, I am 47. People can do math. They will do it out loud with their eyebrows. They will ask if I am having a midlife crisis, or worse, if you are just playing." I let that sit for a second. "Are you afraid of what they will think?" I asked, "or of what I will think when they say it?" Quote. "Both," she said quietly. I thought about my answer. I could joke. I could brush it off. But she had been honest with me, so I owed her the same. "Evelyn," I said, "I know how old you are. You told me on our second coffee. I did not trip and fall into this by accident. When I am with you, I do not feel like I am with an older woman. I feel like I am with you, a person I like. A lot." "That is a very sweet speech," she said, a tiny laugh in her voice. "But it does not change the fact that people can be cruel." "I've heard worse than cruel," I said. "I married into money once. Sarah's family never thought I was good enough. Wrong college, wrong job, wrong everything. I learned something from that." "What?" she asked. "That I'd rather disappoint other people than disappoint myself," I said. "If I like who I'm with, and my kid is safe and loved, that's my circle. Everyone else is noise." She was quiet. I heard traffic through her car window, the faint click of her turn signal. "Who said you could be that emotionally mature?" she finally muttered. I laughed. "Single fatherhood. It ages you like dog years." She laughed too, and the tension eased a little. "Okay," she said. "We will go. You will be my date. You will probably dance better than most of the men in that room, and I will try not to pass out from fear." "Deal," I said. "But before that, maybe we should see each other somewhere that doesn't involve your laptop or my kid." "We should," she agreed. "How do you feel about Thai food on Friday?" "Spicy and hopeful," I said. "Good," she said. "Me too." Friday at lunch, in a small Thai place in Fremont, she brought it up again. The age thing. The wedding. The risk. We sat across from each other, plates between us, her in a simple blouse, hair pulled back, no suit jacket this time. Less armor. "Can I ask you something?" she said, setting down her fork. "Sure." "Why me?" she asked. "You could date someone closer to your age, someone who wants more kids. Someone who doesn't carry this much history." I looked at her, at the fine lines around her eyes, earned from years of work and worry. At the way she watched me like my answer mattered. "I like the way I breathe when I'm with you," I said. "That's the simple truth. When we sit like this, I don't feel like I have to perform. I can be a dad who is tired and sad sometimes. I can miss my wife and still want you. You don't try to fix it. You just sit with it. That's rare." Her throat moved as she swallowed. "And the age?" she asked, voice softer. "Is the least interesting thing about you," I said. "You being 47 does not scare me. You not trusting me would." She stared at me for a long moment, then leaned forward and took my hand across the table. It was the first time she had done that in public. "I am trying," she said, "to trust this, to trust you. I just have a lot of ghosts in my head." "Then we'll let them sit there," I said. "They can watch, but they don't get to drive." She huffed out a small laugh. "You have a very annoying way of making me feel hopeful." "Sorry," I said. "Don't be," she replied. As the weeks went by, we fell into a strange, careful rhythm. Coffee near her office between my service calls. Lunches when our schedules matched. One dinner when Maya slept at her grandparents' and I did not have to rush home. We walked through Pike Place Market once. Shoulder to shoulder in the crowd, her hand brushing mine, until finally she just took it. My heart hammered like I was 16. She met Maya properly over ice cream on a Sunday afternoon. The two of them sat in a booth and debated which dinosaur would win in a fight, and I watched them with this sharp, painful joy in my chest. They fit. I hadn't expected that. The wedding date crept closer. One afternoon, as I swapped out a bad router in a small office, my phone buzzed. Invitation arrived, her text read, "Fancy paper, too many flowers, panic level high." I sent back a picture of Maya making a silly face with yogurt on her nose and wrote, "Antidote to panic." Her reply came quick. That helped. "Also, please remind me again that we are allowed to be happy even if other people don't understand it." I took a breath and typed, "We are allowed. Full permission granted." "Also, I own a real suit. Prepare to be amazed." "You in a suit," she wrote. "Now I am truly nervous." The week before the wedding, we sat on a bench near the waterfront, hands linked, watching the ferries move across the water. November air bit at our faces. "Can I ask something else?" she said. "Always." "What are you hoping for from this?" she asked. "From us. Is this just a nice chapter after a hard one, or are you thinking further?" The honesty of the question hit me hard. "I don't know exactly," I said. "I know that since Sarah died, I've been living one day at a time. Survive the day, repeat. Being with you makes me want to think about next month, next year. That scares me, but in a good way." "In a good way?" she repeated softly. "What about you?" I asked. "I spent 23 years married to a man who saw me as useful," she said. "Sharp mind, good salary, good image. I want something different now. I want partnership. Someone who sees me as a whole person, not just a title." "I see you," I said. She turned her head, studying me. "Even with the screaming age gap and the complicated ex and the late nights at the office?" "Especially with all that," I said. "That's you. I want you, not some simple version." Her fingers tightened around mine. "The wedding is going to make this real," she said. "Public. People will talk. Some will be cruel about my age, maybe about yours. Someone will ask the question out loud." "What question?" I asked. "How old are you?" she said. "Or how big is the difference? Or do you know she's almost old enough to be your mother?" The words hung between us. Cold, ugly, real. "What will you say?" she asked quietly. When they ask, quote. I looked out at the water, then back at her. "I'll say I'm 32, I said. "You're 47, and we're happy. If that stuns them, that's their problem." She held my gaze, searching for any sign of doubt. "Okay," she said finally. "Then let them ask." She squeezed my hand and rested her head on my shoulder. The wind cut around us, but inside that small space it felt warm. I did not know then who would ask the question at the wedding, or how loud it would land in that room. I only knew that the closer we got to that day, the more it felt like walking toward a line we could never uncross. And for the first time in 3 years, I wanted to cross it. The morning of the wedding felt like an exam I hadn't studied for. Sky clear, air cold, my stomach tight. I dropped Maya at her grandparents' house. My mother-in-law, Patricia, took one look at my suit and raised an eyebrow. "Big day?" she asked. "Wedding," I said. "For a friend." "The lawyer?" she asked, gentle but direct. "Yeah," I said. "Evelyn." She watched me for a moment. "Does she make you happy?" Quote. I thought of Evelyn's laugh in the bookstore, her hand in mine by the water, the way she knelt to look Maya in the eyes. "Yeah," I said, "she does." "Then go," Patricia said. "Enjoy yourself. Sarah would want that." Those words stayed with me all the way to the ferry. The boat to the San Juans was full of people in fancy clothes, carrying garment bags and overnight duffels. I stood outside on the deck, suit jacket buttoned against the wind, watching gray water churn under us, trying to breathe through the nerves. My phone buzzed. "Room 347, already checked in. Are you here yet?" "Almost," I typed. "Ferry just docking." How nervous. On a scale of 1 to arguing in front of the Supreme Court? I'm at about an 8, I smiled. On my way. Prepare to be impressed by my tie. When I reached the hotel, it was exactly what I expected. Wood and glass and money. People in cocktail dresses and suits moved through the lobby like they were born in those clothes. I checked in, left my bag in my room, fixed my tie 3 times, then texted, "Ready." Her answer came quick. "Come up. I need 5 minutes of you before we face everyone." I knocked on the door of 347 and braced myself. When it opened, my mouth actually went dry. Evelyn stood there in a deep blue dress that hugged her in all the right places. Her hair was swept up, a few strands loose around her face. Simple earrings. No heavy jewelry. Just her. "You," I said, then stopped, because my brain had quit. She laughed, nervous and pleased. "Is that a good speech or a stroke?" "You look." I tried again. "Beautiful. Completely unfair to everyone else here." Color rose in her cheeks. "You clean up very well yourself, Daniel Brooks. Come in." The room smelled like her perfume and hotel soap. A half-full glass of wine sat on the desk. Her heels weighted by the chair. She moved to the window, arms crossed. "I saw him downstairs," she said without turning. "My ex, Marcus, with someone new. She's very young." I stepped closer, staying a careful distance behind her. "How young?" I asked. "Young enough that he probably lies about it," she said. "I heard someone say 28. I let out a low breath. "And that makes you feel—" "What?" I asked. "Old," she said honestly. "Replaceable, stupid for being nervous about introducing you while he strolls in with a woman almost half his age, like it's nothing." She turned. Her eyes were bright, but her chin was steady. "I don't want you to feel like you're part of some silent competition," she said. "I don't want to use you as proof that I'm fine. You're not a prop, she shook her head, "you're more important than that." I reached for her hands. "Hey," I said, "I'm here for you. Not for him. Not for them. If this is too much, we can leave. Get in the car, find a cheap motel, order pizza, and watch bad TV. Your call." Her fingers tightened around mine. "I want to stay," she said. "I want to walk in there with you." I just needed to say the ugly part out loud first. "Good," I said. "Now you said it. It's out. And for the record." I let my eyes run over her slowly, from her hair to her shoes. "If this is what too old looks like, I'm thrilled." She huffed out a laugh, shoulders relaxing. "You ready?" I asked. "No," she said, "but let's go anyway." She slid her hand through my arm. I covered it with my own. Together we walked downstairs. The ceremony was set up on a bluff overlooking the water. White chairs, a flower-covered arch, gentle music, guests milling around in small groups. As soon as we stepped onto the lawn, heads turned. I felt it, the look, then the second look. People saw Evelyn, then saw me. Then their expressions shifted into that quick mental math face. Her grip on my arm tightened. I rubbed my thumb over her knuckles. "We've got this," I murmured. "We do," she said, but her jaw was tight. We approached a small cluster of people. Evelyn's colleagues, I could tell. Suits, expensive shoes, confident eyes. "Evelyn," a woman with short blonde hair said, "you made it. And you brought." She looked at me, curious. Evelyn straightened a little. "This is Daniel Brooks," she said. "He's with me." With me. Two small words that felt huge. I shook hands, answered the usual questions. Yes, independent IT. No, not part of a big company. Yes, single dad. Yes, my daughter is 6. No, I do not sleep much. Most people were polite. Some were genuinely kind. A few had that faintly amused look like they were watching an interesting experiment. Then he appeared. "Evelyn, you look beautiful." The voice came from behind us, smooth, confident. I turned. Marcus was tall and sharp-edged, with silver hair and a perfect smile. Beside him stood a young woman in a red dress. She was pretty and clearly nervous. "Marcus," Evelyn said. Her voice chilled a few degrees. "You remember everyone, I'm sure." His eyes did a quick lap around the group, then landed on me. "And you are?" he asked. "Daniel Brooks," I said. I held out my hand. "Evelyn's date." His mouth twitched. He shook my hand firmly, then let go. "And what do you do, Daniel?" he asked. "IT consulting," I said. "Independent." "Ah," he said, one syllable loaded with meaning. "Flexible schedule. Nice." The woman in red stepped forward. "I'm Stephanie," she said. "Nice to meet you." We exchanged polite smiles. The air felt tight. Faces around us watched with the hungry interest of people who love a subtle scene. "Excuse us," I said lightly, touching Evelyn's back. "We should find our seats." She shot me a grateful look. We moved toward the rows of chairs. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not rising to his bait." "It wasn't very good bait," I said. "Too obvious." She laughed quietly, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. We sat near the back. The ceremony was lovely. Vows, tears, laughter, clapping. At one point I looked over and found Evelyn watching me instead of the couple. There was something soft and raw in her eyes. "I'm glad you're here," she whispered. "Me too," I said. The reception was where things really began. Inside the ballroom, tables glowed with candles and flowers. A band tuned up on a small stage. Waiters moved between guests with trays of drinks. We found our table and sat with a mix of partners and their spouses. The conversation started polite. The view, the food, the weather. Then, like always, they turned toward work. I held my own, talked about networks and backups in simple terms, answered questions about running my own business, mentioned Maya. Most people seemed impressed that I managed my schedule around school pickup and bedtime. At some point, a partner's wife leaned forward. "So how did you two meet?" she asked, eyes bright. "In my office," Evelyn said. "He saved my presentation 15 minutes before I had to present to the board. And he's been saving her ever since. Another woman joked. Laughter, wine, the usual. Then it happened. A man across the table, older, with a thick mustache and a tie already loose, squinted at us over his glass. "Forgive me," he said. "I am rude and curious. How large is the age difference between you two?" The table went quiet. Conversations around us dimmed. It was amazing how fast silence can spread. I felt Evelyn go very still beside me. Her hand, resting on her lap, curled into a fist. The man continued, undeterred. "You just seem at different stages of life, no? I mean, kids, careers, retirement. I'm just wondering how it works." All eyes were on us. I saw eyebrows lift. I saw Stephanie, the young woman in red at the next table, turn her head in alarm. I saw Marcus watching, interested. There it was, the question, blunt, loud, in front of everyone. Evelyn's throat moved as she swallowed. I could feel her fear and anger and embarrassment like heat next to me. This was the moment. The one we'd talked about on the bench by the water. Before she could force herself to answer, I cleared my throat. "I'm 32, I said, voice steady. "Evelyn is 47. The man's eyebrows shot up. "And you're okay with that?" he asked. "Both of you?" The air in the room tightened. I felt something ease inside me, though. Because now it was here. Out. No more dancing around it. "Yes," I said. "We're okay with it. We're happy. That's kind of the point." Someone at the far end of the table let out a low whistle. A woman near us murmured, "Good for you." But I wasn't done. "I know people like to do math," I said. "They look at us and see numbers and stories they want to tell. Midlife crisis, gold digger, rebound, whatever fits their favorite drama." My heart pounded, but my voice stayed calm. "Here's my reality," I said. "I lost my wife 3 years ago. I have a 6-year-old daughter who is my whole world. For a long time, I thought that was it. Just survival and bedtime and bills. Then I met Evelyn. And for the first time in years, I remembered what it felt like to want more than just making it through the day. I felt Evelyn's eyes on me. Felt her hand slowly uncurl. "She is brilliant," I went on. "She is kind. She treats my daughter with respect. She makes me feel like I can breathe. If that comes in a 47-year-old package instead of a 32-year-old one, I'm okay with that. More than okay. I'm grateful." The table was dead silent now. Even people from other tables were listening. I saw Stephanie's eyes shine. I saw Marcus's jaw tighten. "And as for stages of life," I added, "I think we're at the same one. We've been hurt and we're still choosing to try again stage. I don't know if that has an official age range, but it feels right." The older man blinked. His mustache twitched. "Well," he said finally, "when you put it like that, I feel like an idiot." Soft laughter broke around the table, releasing some of the tension. "I'm sorry," he added, looking at Evelyn. "That was rude." "It was honest," she said. Her voice shook, just a little, but she held her head high. And he answered it better than I could have. She reached under the table and found my hand. Her fingers squeezed mine so hard it almost hurt. "That," she said quietly, eyes still on the man, "is why I'm okay with it." The band started a slow song, almost as if on cue. Someone lifted their glass. "Two answered questions," they said, "and people who don't care what anyone else thinks." Glasses clinked. Conversations picked up again. The spell broke. Evelyn turned to me. There were tears in her eyes. "That stunned them," she whispered. "All of them." "Sorry," I murmured. "I didn't mean to make a speech." "I am not complaining," she said. "Daniel, dance with me," I said, cutting her off gently. "You can yell at me later if you still want to." Quote. She let out a watery laugh. "I don't want to yell at you." "Good," I said. "Come on." I stood and held out my hand. She took it. As we walked onto the dance floor, I felt those looks again. Curious, surprised, some judging, some supportive. But this time, they didn't feel heavy. Because her hand was in mine. Because we had just walked through the worst question together and were still standing. I put my hand on her waist. She rested hers on my shoulder. We moved to the music, slow and steady. "You answered for both of us," she said softly. "And you told the truth." "It's our truth," I said. "They don't have to like it." She rested her forehead lightly against mine. "I think," she whispered, "that I'm falling in love with you." My chest tightened. The room, the music, the people faded. "Yeah," I said softly. "I think I'm falling in love with you too." We swayed there, two people with a 15-year gap and 100 reasons not to try, holding each other while the world watched. For the first time, I didn't care who was looking. After the dance, everything felt different. Nothing outside had changed. Same ballroom, same music, same people pretending not to watch us. But inside, something had shifted. The question had been asked. The truth had been spoken. We were still here. When the song ended, we did not step apart right away. We stood there for a moment, my hand on her back, her hand over my heart, both of us breathing like we had run a race. "You did not have to say all that," she said quietly. "I did," I said. "You were shaking." "I still am," she said, "but not from fear now." "From what then?" I asked. "From the fact that I told you I am falling in love with you in public," she said. "At a wedding. That is the most cliché thing I have ever done." I smiled. "At least we skipped the slow clap." She laughed, and that sound washed over me like warm water. We stayed for a while after that. We ate cake. We talked to people. Some of them came over to say kind things. A few said nothing but looked at us with softer eyes than before. Marcus watched us once from across the room, then looked away. I realized I did not care what he thought. Later, when the band took a break and the room started to thin out, Evelyn leaned close. "Come upstairs with me," she said. "I do not mean for anything you are not ready for. I just want to talk somewhere that does not have an audience." "Okay," I said. We slipped away while a fast song played and most eyes were on the dance floor. The hallway upstairs felt quiet and safe. In her room, she took off her heels with a sigh and dropped onto the small couch by the window. I loosened my tie and sat beside her. For a minute, we just looked at each other. "That speech," she said finally, "did you plan it?" Quote. "No," I said. "I wanted a simple night where I ate free food and watched you be amazing. I did not plan to give a speech about my feelings to half your firm." She smiled, then sobered. "When he asked that question," she said, "I felt like I was 20 again. Sitting at a dinner table waiting for someone to tell me I was too much or not enough. Too loud, too old, too cold. I thought I was going to choke." "I know," I said. "I saw your hand shaking." "Then you spoke," she said, "and I realized I was not alone at that table. You did not let me stand in that spotlight by myself." "That is kind of the deal, right?" I said. "If we are doing this for real." She studied my face. "Are we?" she asked. "Doing this for real?" The room felt very still. I thought of Maya, asleep at her grandparents' house, of my small apartment with the dinosaur toys on the floor, of the years since Sarah died, when my life was only about survival. Then I thought of Evelyn's hand on mine at the cafe, her talking to Maya about dinosaurs, her voice when she said she was falling in love with me. "I want to," I said, "if you do." "I do," she said. "More than I want to admit. It terrifies me, Daniel." "Me too," I said, "but I am tired of being scared of wanting things." She took a breath. "Then let's be clear," she said. "No pretending this is casual. No pretending we are just passing time until something easier comes along. I do not have the energy for that." "Me neither," I said. "I am a single dad. I do not date for fun. I date for real, or not at all." Her eyes softened. "I want to be in your life," she said, "not just in your free hours. I want to know your routines. I want to know what you cook for dinner and what book Maya is reading this week. I want to fight with you about dishes and sigh when you leave your socks on the floor." "I do not leave socks on the floor," I said. "We will see," she said. I laughed. Then I got serious. "I want you in my life too," I said, "even on the hard days, even when you are tired and buried in a case, even when old fears show up and whisper that I am not enough. I want to be there for all of it." Her eyes filled with tears. "I do not know how to be good at this," she said. "My marriage was not a good model. My parents were worse. I am going to make mistakes. I will pull away when I am scared. I might say the wrong thing. I will mess up too, I said. I will get defensive about money, or work, or my past. I will feel guilty about loving you and missing Sarah at the same time. I do not know how to do this either." Quote, "So we are two damaged people making a promise we are not qualified to make," she said. "Pretty much," I said. She gave a watery laugh. "Okay," she said. "Then here is my promise. I will tell you when I am scared, instead of punishing you for it. I will not hide behind my job. I will let you meet the parts of me that are not impressive. I promise," I said, "to tell you when I feel not good enough instead of shutting down. I will not let old voices speak louder than your voice. I will let you see the grief and not pretend I am done with it." She reached for my hand. "Deal," she said. We sat there, hands linked, two people who had been through very different kinds of pain, choosing to try anyway. That night, I did not sleep in my room. I stayed in hers. We talked until our voices were soft. We kissed with care and hunger, and stopped when either of us felt scared. We slept tangled on top of the covers like teenagers, grateful and stunned. The next morning, sunlight poured in through the window. My back hurt from the couch. Evelyn's hair was a mess. She looked younger that way. "We survived," she said. "The wedding or the question?" I asked. "Both," she said, "and the morning after." We ate breakfast at the hotel with some of her colleagues. People gave us small smiles now, not curious stares. The man who had asked about our ages came over and apologized again. He did it badly, but he meant it. On the ferry ride back, Evelyn stood at the rail, the wind tangling her hair. I stood behind her, arms around her waist. "What happens now?" she asked. "We go home," I said. "You dive back into work. I dive back into Maya's spelling words. And we keep showing up. Coffee, texts, soccer games, late dinners. One day at a time." "That sounds very ordinary," she said. "Good," I said. "I am done chasing drama. I want ordinary with you." She leaned back against me. "Me too," she said. The months after the wedding were not a movie montage. They were messy and real. Evelyn took a huge environmental case that swallowed her schedule. She worked long hours. She forgot to eat. She answered emails at midnight. I got used to bringing her takeout and sitting on her couch while she typed, just to be near her. Sometimes she snapped when she was tired. Sometimes I took it too personally. We fought once in her kitchen about something small that was really about fear. She thought I would leave when it got hard. I thought she was pulling away again. We both raised our voices. Then we both stopped, remembered our promises, and talked until we understood each other. Maya met Evelyn's dog, Winston, and fell in love in 10 seconds. She started asking when we could visit our dog. She drew pictures of the three of us and Winston and taped them above her bed. One night, after Maya was asleep, I showed Evelyn a drawing that said, "My family," across the top. Me, Maya, Winston, and her. She pressed the paper to her chest and cried. "I never thought I would be in anyone's family picture again," she said. "You are in ours," I said. "If you want to be." "I do," she said. "More than anything." Evelyn won the case. The company had to pay, clean up, change. I watched her on the news giving a short, strong statement. People in my building saw it and asked if that fancy lawyer lady was really my girlfriend. "Yeah," I said, "she is." "What is that like?" a neighbor asked. "Loud and amazing," I said. After the ruling, Evelyn came to my apartment with cheap champagne and expensive chocolate. Maya was at a sleepover. We sat on my couch between plastic dinosaurs and laundry baskets and toasted. "To people who do the right thing," I said. "To people who stay when things get hard," she said. "To us," I added. "To us," she repeated. We did not move in together right away. We were careful. Maya needed time. So did we. But we started leaving more of our lives in each other's spaces. A spare toothbrush in her bathroom with my name on it. My hoodie hanging on the back of her chair. Her coffee mug in my kitchen. A photo of Maya and Winston on her desk at work. One Saturday morning, I woke up on her couch with Maya asleep on my chest and Winston snoring on the floor. Evelyn stood in the doorway, watching us. "What?" I asked quietly. "This," she said, "this is what I was afraid I would never have. Messy mornings, dog hair, kids, cartoons. A man who loves me and my real life." I looked at her. Hair in a bun. Old college sweatshirt, no makeup. The woman half that wedding thought they knew was gone. This was Evelyn. The full version. "Does my age still scare you?" she asked. "Only when you pretend it is a reason to run," I said. "The rest of the time, I forget." She smiled. "Does my past still scare you?" I asked. "Only when you hide it," she said. "The rest of the time, I see a man who got broken and kept going. That does not scare me." We were quiet for a moment. "Do you ever think about that question?" she asked. "The one at the wedding. About the age difference." "Sometimes," I said, "but not the way I used to." "How do you think about it now?" she asked. "I think about a room full of people holding their breath," I said, "waiting to see if we would flinch. And I think about us standing up anyway." Maya sighed in her sleep and curled closer. I smoothed her hair. "I think about how scared we both were," I said, "and how we chose each other anyway. That is what I remember, not the number." Evelyn crossed the room and sat beside us, her hand on my shoulder, her fingers brushing Maya's hair. "Then maybe," she said softly, "that question did us a favor." "How?" I asked. "It forced us to answer it out loud," she said. "For them, for each other, for ourselves." I looked at her, at my daughter, at this life I never thought I would have again. "Yeah," I said. "I guess it did. I am still a single dad who fixes computers and wonders if he is doing any of this right." She is still 15 years older, still a lawyer who works too hard and cares too much. People still do math when they see us. But now, when they ask how big the age difference is, I can only think of one answer. Big enough for both of us to know exactly what we are choosing, and small enough that our hearts still fit in the same place.